Hey guys, Miss Sewing here, and in this video lesson, we're going to talk through some of the causes of the Second World War. So, in the video, we're going to talk about four things: economic problems, the rise of dictatorship, how the German Empire expands, and then finally, when Hitler invades Poland and the Second World War gets started. So, we'll start with number one. We talked last semester about the Great Depression and how it was the worst global financial crisis in our history. This is not true just of the United States, where people are losing their jobs and their homes because of the stock market crash. But this is also happening all over the world. The entire globe is affected by the Great Depression. And this is one of our causes of World War II because governments who were promising to take care of their people suddenly couldn't. And this led to new people coming into power, new governments taking over, which we would call dictators, which we'll get into in a little bit. Also, economic problems are going on in Germany. So we talked about this political cartoon in class. We have Germany here represented by this guy who's being squished, who's being literally crushed by a bag of money that says reparations, like $55 billion. And reparations, of course, means when you would have to pay for damages caused. This leads us to a problem in Germany where the country of Germany is being required by the Treaty of Versailles, the treaty that ends World War I, to pay for the damages caused by that war. Astronomical amount of money, like that dollar amount. I can't even fathom how much money that is. And let's remember too, Germany was not the cause of World War I. They didn't start the war, but they're being required to pay for it. And so they're already not in a great spot because of our Great Depression. Like this guy here is finding themselves with no money, and now they're being tasked with this incredible bill. It's going to cause a lot of unhappiness, going to cause a lot of tension. All right, number two cause, rise of dictatorship. So we see these dictators come to power in not just Germany, but in Russia, Japan, and Italy as well. We would call them totalitarian. A totalitarian government or dictatorship is one where a single person has complete control over the population, over the government. Kind of like this guy here, he's surrounded maybe by the military and security forces, but at the end of the day, decisions come down to that one person. That is not what we do here in the United States. We have branches of government where power is shared. That's not true in these countries. So here's another little visual and a complete definition. Dictators are those leaders who rule a country with total power, right? Think about the guy with the puppet strings, right? The hand here kind of manipulating with strings their population. And notice here it says like usually by force, right? Most people are not content to give away all of their power to dictators. Usually they take it with violence, with military force. And that leads us to our third cause, which is the expansion of Germany. So we've got a guy we're going to get to know over the next couple of weeks as we're studying World War II. Of course, Adolf Hitler, the dictator of Germany. He rises to power during this time. The existing German government is very weak. They have to pay these reparations. Hitler thinks it's not fair for them to pay all of this money when they're already struggling and they didn't cause World War I. And he believes that Germany should have more power in this world, more control, and more territory. So he rises to power in Germany and he promises that he's going to expand the empire even more. I want you guys to look at this map here along with me, where Germany is here in the orange, yellowish color. A couple things Hitler starts to do is he annexes or takes Austria. He demands the Sudetenland, which is this little reddish, I guess, pinkish color here on the map, where the Sudetenland is part of a country that was called Czechoslovakia. Hitler, seeing a lot of German-speaking people here, believed that it was Germany's territory, and he demands it. He says, "I'm going to go to war if you don't give it to me." And so Europe has this decision to make. Do we give in to Adolf Hitler and let him take the Sudetenland to avoid war and to avoid even more bloodshed? Or do we stand our ground and fight that war? And so we have a little political cartoon here It kind of shows these like fancy Europeans. You see the Monopoly man, who I believe represents the United States here in the background, just kind of looking on. But these rich guys in Europe giving this large dog wolf looking thing representing Germany because of his hat here and the Imperial Germany symbol around his neck, giving him what looks like a piece of meat or something. And it looks like that piece of meat, I don't know, guys, it's hard to read here, but it looks almost like a territory. Like, to me, I'm making an assumption that, here is Europe giving land to Germany. And that's exactly what appeasement means. And that is what the decision made by Europe was. Great Britain and France, powers in Europe, decide to appease Germany. They decide to give in to Adolf Hitler in order to avoid a greater war. Hence, the political cartoon, of course, giving the meat to the wolf. And it comes with a little clause. The countries say, okay, we're going to give him the Sudetenland if Hitler promises not to take any more land. Right? You can have this one, but you can't have any more. I think you guys can make an assumption here, make an inference that this does not work when Hitler sees Britain and France easily give over the Sudetenland. He says that they're weak and that he's going to go for more land. And that's exactly what happens. The appeasement strategy was, in hindsight, not a good one. And Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, decides, what Poland looks like it should be ours. And so Germany invades Poland in 1939, and that is kind of what marks the start of World War II. Once Germany takes Poland, it's clear what his intentions are. He is not happy with just the Sudetenland, and he wants much more territory. And that's what we're going to get into over the next couple of weeks, what happens next. All right, so we're not going to summarize at this point, but that is our video lesson. You guys can take a look at the Google form and do what it says to do next.